Hi guys, so today I start with the Mystical Shaman Oracle again. Number 22, the Ghost Dance. This also is on number 44 in the book, if that means anything to somebody. But the essence says, the Ghost Dance is of the American Plains Indians united the spirit of the living with those of the ancestors to bring peace to the world. When the ancestors are honored, they bring harmony to us. When we hold them responsible for all that's wrong with us today, they haunt us. Honor the spirits of the ancestors and revive their lessons and gifts. This includes honoring your own past lives. And the invitation says the ancestors have a message of healing and a powerful medicine to offer you. Create a sacred moment at your altar. Light a candle to them and let their wisdom infuse you. At this stage in your life, you are done repeating their tragic stories. Step into the abundance that is offered to you. Receive the gifts of those that have come before you and write a new story for your life. And I think that's important. I think a lot of times too, we do that. We blame the previous generation, which I'm a big believer in, like when we say things like, generational curses, that is things that, the next generation learns from the mistakes of the past a lot of times. But we also learn wisdoms from the past too, right? The things that our family or even generations have done right, or even entire populations, millennia ago, we've learned things. There's a lot of things that deep in our past, like, our deep ancestors where, we all are connected through. A lot of those had a wisdom that we don't encompass anymore. So I think this is saying, get rid of that need to blame all your problems on the past and all your problems on the people that came before you, and look to the future, look in the now, right? Don't let those things in the past, and obviously we've learned from them. Use the good things, and there's so much wisdom that we kind of forget about because we're too busy looking at the bad things, right? And then we have magic again. I love this card. It's beautiful. And this card is number 33, and it's on page 66. So I think that's kind of neat how that kind of worked out. The other one was on page 44, and it was number 22. Anyway, I just think that's interesting. But, we've had this card before, and it says the symbol represents the infinite intelligence of Great Spirit that makes up the fundamental fabric of the universe. We experience the evidence of this magic through synchronicity or meaningful coincidence. And then it kind of tells you to kind of like look at everything in awe again. What's the reason why you're doing what you're doing spiritually, right? How did you come to this realization that there's better or more? What are the joys that you have in your life? I feel like that's really telling you to kind of remind yourself of the magic of everything, and kind of compare that with the Ghost Dance card. It's kind of like, there's a wisdom and a magic from, way back that is just natural, that is inherent in us, and we're kind of being asked to kind of look into that and trust in that. And so I have the tarot cards right here. And I have the Ace of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. And I feel like that's in my column of the energy that we're in right now. I always feel like the aces are literally like a gift. It's kind of like, a new beginning or whatever, or it's something that you're developing. But with a double Ace of Pentacles, I'm feeling like we're really kind of being reminded that, hey, you got this. Quit worrying. There is something that is great that you got to kind of embrace. And I feel like we're kind of being asked to do that right now. And then the Ace of Pentacles is always my mastery card. I always feel like that's kind of mastering and seeing from like a higher realm of like all the advantages you have around you, all the details. It's kind of like a magician card in a way, but like on a higher level. Like this is like looking down, like an eagle would see like the whole surroundings and have an understanding of the lay of the land and know what to do with it, right? So I kind of feel like that's what this is saying, is like, whether somebody's worried about something, or this is, your path, your life, your situation that you're in, or maybe it's a creative project, something that you're hoping will come to fruition. I feel like this is kind of asking you to trust and observe the things around you that are kind of magical, and the things that are happening that maybe we kind of overlook because we're too busy worrying. And then we go to our second column, which is my column of what we need to work on. And we have the Fool, And then we have the Six of Pentacles. So at first glance, being something we need to work on, the Fool is usually somebody that we need to kind of embrace, so that way, the Fool he's on like a blank slate. He's got his knowledge, but he's got, no cares, and he's doing that leap of faith. And with the Six of Pentacles, a lot of times we think of that as balance and give and take. But I also feel like in this aspect, it's also telling you, especially being next to those two Ace of Pentacles, I feel like we're being asked to recognize that we are being given, you know what I mean? Allow, right? So a lot of that give and take is allowing yourself to be given to. And in this case, I feel like it's spirit. If you look at the rest of the cards, I feel like that's what this is telling me. I think this is a hint to me, because I'm kind of getting like, life does things. You got things you got to do, and finances kind of make you worry a little bit, especially if you have a family and you have a job. But you can't let that throw you off your path, because your path is to realize that life is so much more than the material things. But yeah, we kind of need the material things, but you can't kind of let that bog you down either. So I feel like this is kind of telling me to like trust and allow. So I feel like that's what that's telling me personally. And if we go into our third row or third column, we have the King of Wands and we have the King of Swords. Now the King of Wands is a strong and very passionate leader. He is a very spiritual leader. So this is somebody who's very creative as well. And then you have the King of Swords, which is, intelligent and able to make smart decisions. So I think, being that this is my column of what we have around us and what we can use, also kind of like our inner ally, our skills, if you want, this is saying that we have this ability. We have the ability to kind of let that magical feeling and that passion flow, but we also have the ability to know what to do with all these things, right? What to do with that passion and that magic. So I feel like that's kind of, recognizing that. We have to recognize that there's stuff that's we're not utilizing. So, yeah, I think that's really cool. So we have the passion and the magic and the ability to be a strong but compassionate leader. And we know how to use these skills, right? There's going to be a beeping. So I guess that's like a confirmation. So my final column is kind of supposed to be like my outcome. And I kind of struggled with this one for a little bit. But a lot of times, like earth signs, because this is the Knight of Pentacles, and then we have the High Priestess. So, I mean, that's being in touch with the earth, right? And, being like natural and in the rhythm of nature, a lot of times is a patient energy. So I feel like this is saying that, we're going to be like in a stable and calm nature. And with the High Priestess, this is very much being tapped and in tune with your intuition, but it's also being able to kind of tell your own story. This is kind of a teacher in a way, receiving things in a way that kind of allows us to slow down a little bit and be able to enjoy and have faith. That sounds really, really weird, but I don't know how else to express it, but it's, not being worried and rushed and worried about like all the negative things. I think like we're able to see all the details and have that stability in the knowing, right? So I feel like having that deeper intuition and being able to allow that these gifts that are coming in from spirit, I feel like that's part of it. So perhaps this is something where, we're really going to be able to tap into that natural and intuitive energy from nature. And if you look at the 3 Herbal Astrology oracles, they all came out and I said, whatever, I'm just going to use them all. They kind of give that feeling too. So we have Arnica as the first one. And Arnica is, it's Saturn and it's, the teacher. So this is about really allowing those things that we've learned to kind of help us teach those around us. It's a unique path, and I feel like this is really what it's talking about. Saturn is the teacher. This is, taking those lessons and really looking at them with a different perspective and taking that in the observer role. We're really using that to kind of guide us on the future. And then, this is also wolf medicine. Wolf medicine is all about leadership and community and intuition, but it's like in a very teacher-like way. Wolf medicine is about that guide that kind of teaches you and gets you on your path. So maybe we're being asked to be that for somebody else or a collective, And then we have hibiscus with joy. This card kind of reminds me of the Empress type energy. Because, if you look at like the keywords, it's like nectar, grace, sensuality, beauty, divine, femininity, nurturing, creativity, and abundance. And that's that is so Empress all the way. And and it's Venus and Pluto. It's about like your presence is kind of encourages others, right? And you kind of draw that to you. You draw that people's awe and wonder, for life and that joy by seeing you enjoying that, right? So that's a part of being a teacher in that way too. There's so much about like you're enjoying your life. So then other people want to kind of know what you got and why you're doing what you're doing. And if they don't do that in a negative way, they kind of follow your lead, right? And then our last card is psilocybin. And that is also, I believe it's a Pluto sun. The spiritual side of Scorpio. A lot of times we think of Scorpio and we think, oh, that's Stinger. But, the developed and evolved Scorpio is very spiritual and magical. So this is upright. It's communing with the sacred, connecting to otherworldly energy, remote viewing, regeneration through union, coming together with a tribe, and finding your cosmic family. There's also like a connecting with your ancestors energy with this card. So I feel like what this is saying is at this point in somebody's journey, or whether it's collectively, I feel like, we're supposed to be taking on that energy that of our ancestors, like all the good stuff, like the beginnings of that, right? Like what this is all about, that deep earth knowledge, trying to allow spirit and Mother Nature and our ancestors to kind of give us these gifts. That's the magic. The magic is having that ability to tap into raw nature and understand it. I hope this means something for somebody today. It was a little rambly, but appreciate you guys so much. Thank you much.